All right, welcome in guys. This week's workshop is focusing on Cobra and Upward Facing Dog, two poses that are given as variations or options during vinyasa flows, when we go from plank to chaturanga to Cobra or Up Dog into Downward Facing Dog. We're going to focus on how we can cultivate a little strength, a little alignment, and make sure that we're coming into these poses in the best way possible. So when you're ready, let's jump on the mat and get started. Coming into tabletop position, we're just going to start warming up with a little cat-cow. So shoulders on top of wrists, knees under hip points. Inhale, breath, begin to drop the belly. Open the chest, lift the chin. And exhale, tucking through the tailbone, rounding through the spine. Inhale, drop through the belly. Open through the chest. Exhale, tucking through the tailbone, rounding through the spine, and just carrying on for a couple more breaths at your own time. Inviting in a little articulation through the spine. Just waking the body up. And even if we're already warm, just tuning in. Becoming aware of those subtleties within your body. Giving yourself space to recenter. And we'll find our way back through to tabletop position. So first of all, we're going to have a little look at Cobra pose. So in my live classes, we tend to focus on using this pose to strengthen through the back body. When we're moving through it in vinyasa, we can press into the arms a little more and feel that lift up through the chest. So we're going to go through that now. We'll come down onto our bellies. Forehead grounds down. Zip the legs together. The tops of the feet are pressing down into the ground. And we're going to work our way up from here. So to keep the legs active, we really want to press the hips down, press the toes down, and think about wrapping your outer thighs down onto the ground to make sure that we're really broadening through the sacrum and the low back. And this is going to translate when we come into upward facing dog later as well. So outer edges of the thighs drawing down to the earth. Hands to either side of the rib cage. So something that I see quite a lot is when the hands are quite far forwards, almost as if we're trying to get into a sphinx pose, and we're not going to be able to press up. So hands slide back to either side of the rib cage. Elbows tuck in towards the side body, so we're really squeezing them in. And to match this, we're going to roll the shoulders down the back. Imagine you're trying to draw the tips of your shoulder blades down and together. Press down through the hips. We can find a light engagement through the glutes, but we don't need to really squeeze. Pressing into the hands, keep the toes pressing down, legs pressing down. We're just going to prepare by taking a deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And on your next inhale, begin to press into the hands. Peel the heart forwards, pressing into the arms just as far as feels good here. Keep pressing down through tops of the feet and then pull the heart forwards. We're not going to drop the neck back, but just come up to that point that feels good. And exhale. Slowly roll all the way back down. Forehead grounds. Relax through the body. Take a deep breath in. And a full breath out. Let's go through that one more time. Legs zip, press the toes down. Wrap the outer thighs down towards the earth. Gentle squeeze of the glutes, but not full-on engagement. Elbows zip in, shoulders roll down the back. Press through the hips, inhale breath. Begin to peel up, gently pressing into the hands just as far as feels good. Arms don't need to be straight here. Exhale, slowly roll all the way back down. Take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. Release the hands one on top of the other, rest the forehead down and give the hips a little 'little 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 ' Okay, coming into upward facing dog next. So first of all, just to remind us that this is a really strong pose. The entire of our weight is being supported by our hands and the tops of our feet, and that's it. And in the shape that we're creating, the pelvic bone, which is one of the heaviest in the body, is sinking down. So we need to support that through a little strength and alignment. So we're going to go through a couple of do's and don'ts. This is what we want to avoid in upward facing dog. Thighs are grounded, toes are turning in, shoulders are up towards the ears, and we're really dumping weight into the lower back. Do's. Legs are actively engaged. I'm pressing down into the tops of my feet. Shoulders are stacked on top of wrists. Fingers are spread wide. Back of the neck is long, and I'm keeping length through the lower back by drawing my tailbone gently down towards my heels. So, how do we get into that variation of downward facing dog? So let's come forwards and we'll come down onto our bellies to start off with. Starting at the top, we want to keep the back of the neck long when we rise up. We're going to draw the hands to either side of the rib cage again, draw the elbows in, and then roll the shoulders down the back. So we're activating here by drawing the shoulder blades down and together. Keep the lower back nice and long. So we want to, again, broaden through the sacrum. And to support this, we need to engage through our core, making sure that we're pressing down through the legs, feet are hip distance apart. All 10 toes are pressing down, so the pinky toe as well as the big toe. Pressing down into the hands, take a breath in. Let the breath go. On your next inhale, press into hands, press into feet, and rise on up. So the first thing to check out is where your shoulders are in relation to your wrists. If they are further forwards, we'll slide back slightly so that they're stacked somewhere on top. Fingertips spread wide. Begin to broaden through the chest, pulling the heart forwards. Again, we can help this by rolling the shoulder blades down the back, drawing them back in together. Back of the neck stays long. Firm up through your lower abdominals, drawing belly button up and in. Keep the tailbone long towards the heels and engaging through the legs so that knees are lifted and the tops of the toes are pressing down. We want to avoid the toes turning in, keeping them aligned, really pressing down and active. Think about drawing the heart forwards. One more breath in. And as you exhale, lower your knees. Draw the sit bones back towards the heels and find our way into child's pose balasana. Relax through the arms and the wrists. Take a breath in. Take a breath out. One more time, deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. And keeping your sit bones rooted at your heels as we inhale, slow roll up through the spine, realigning, coming up and through to kneeling. Okay, so we're going to have a look at that transition from our workshop last week of chaturanga and plank into cobra or upward facing dog. And there's lots of variations that you can take here to really support your practice and the level that it's at. So let's start by coming into plank position. Spread the fingertips out wide, shoulders stacked somewhere on top of wrists, and step the feet back. Finding that strength. If you need a little more here, then you can check out the other workshop. Option 1, we shift forwards on the toes. We lower the knees down. Keeping the elbows in, we lower down, chaturanga. Shoulders come in line with elbows. From here, thighs and hips can ground down, and inhale, we're in that position to rise up into our cobra. And exhale, lower down, tuck the toes, and we can come back through the knees and lift the hips to downward facing dog. Option 2, we'll make our way back into that plank position. Shift forwards on the toes, lower the knees down. So we're still cultivating strength to be able to come into that full chaturanga. We can lower the knees, keep the elbows in, and lower down chaturanga. From here, shoulders in line with elbows, we firm up through the legs, press through the arms. Inhale, we rise to upward facing dog. Pressing through, find that lift, and then as we exhale, lower the knees, tuck the toes, back and up to downward facing. Option 3, let's find our way back into plank position. Last time, step back. Cultivate that strength. We're going to keep the knees lifted this time, shift forwards on the toes, elbows stay locked in. We lower down with control, shoulders come in line with elbows. Untuck the toes or roll forwards and inhale, press through the hands, engage through the legs, hips stay lifted, open through the chest. Exhale, tuck the toes under, lift through the hips, back and up to downward facing dog. My final few tips and tricks is about that fancy footwork. So you're in your position where you can firmly hold plank, full chaturanga, and come into up dog, and you want to make it a little smoother. This all comes down to our ankle mobility and the amount of space that we have within them. We shift forwards on the toes, lower down, chaturanga. We're going to roll forwards over the toes, press through the hands, lift up. Exhale, we're going to roll back over the toes and send the sit bones back and up to downward facing dog. That roll is something that you can practice, maybe just starting one foot at a time, the other toe tucked under so that you can support the weight slightly. And eventually it will become something that you can do within your body. Depending on the makeup of our anatomy, some people might find it easy and other people will find it really challenging. So really just adapting to what you need. It's not something that you have to do. You can always take that option to flip the tops of the feet over instead. Okay, those are my tips and tricks for Cobra and Upward Facing Dog. Hopefully you can welcome some of that into your own practice on the mat and move through these transitions a little smoother and feeling a little stronger as well. If you want to join me for a live class, you can head to my website. Booking is available and I would absolutely love to see you there. Otherwise, make sure that you subscribe to my channel, like the videos so that you can come back to them easily and continue to work on those transitions, that strength and your practice. Thanks so much for joining me on the mat today. I look forward to seeing you soon. Pow, 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 pow.